Hello and welcome back. This is ForeverJamy, and today we're going to be doing an honest look at the Alan Wake series. So obviously we have the original Alan Wake, which I absolutely loved. Probably would give an 8 or a 9 out of 10 if I was going to score it. It was brilliant. Love the story, love the setting, love the gameplay, and nothing felt really that clunky. Maybe apart from like the reloading, that sometimes was a little bit annoying, but it's reloading, and reloading is always going to be a bit annoying in any game you're playing. You know, I always felt a little bit on edge, start to run out of batteries or start to run out of ammo, and then you'd like just have enough to keep it ticking over, and if you're not, you had to like switch weapons and stuff like that. Brilliant. I love the way it was paced. Everything about the original Alan Wake to me was brilliant. I said 8 earlier, but no, it'd definitely be an out of 10 now I'm thinking back to it. And it's just one of those games where I've played it probably about 3 or 4 times, and every single time I love it. And I don't know if a lot of people do this, but when I like listen or read listen to audiobooks or read books and stuff like that, if I really enjoy the story, I'll listen to it, a few times over, just because it's such a good story. And I think it's a sort of not a tale, it's sort of a tell of a good game if you can just play it over and over again, or a good story if you can listen to it over and over again. And I feel like I'm talking about stories quite a lot here, but Alan Wake to me is that game where it is basically a story that you're playing through, and that's like totally fine. Story games are probably my favourite sort of games, and I don't know why. I mean, you probably can tell from me talking about Tomb Raider so much, and I think that, even though there was a lot more, I wouldn't say a lot more, there is some more shooting and, crafting and stuff like that. It's primarily a story game that you're playing through, and I absolutely love that. But getting back onto Alan Wake here. So, the setting of the first game is perfect. I love, that sort of northwest in America, with Oregon and Washington and even Alaska. If you can count that in the northwest, I definitely would. And even coming down into California, just the west coast to me is beautiful, pretty. Love that sort of style. Any game set in there is just beautiful to me, and you can tell from the way I've got some of this footage where I'm just looking around the landscape. Absolutely beautiful. And the way they tell the story in the game, where you're going through and you keep getting little snippets and stuff like that, and it's to me, seems like a fairly straightforward story, but it leaves enough mystery that you want to go back and play it again and go, I didn't think about that last time, or while you're playing it, it's like, wow, I didn't think about this at the start, or stuff like that. And I definitely, the story in this game is brilliant. I loved it, and I definitely I recommend this game for anyone to play, just for the story, not even the main gameplay. And it was brilliant, and I think it was a long time ago when it came out, but if I remember, they said Alan Wake was meant to be a story you played through rather than a game, I guess. But now let's talk a little bit about the second Alan Wake game, American Nightmare. The only nightmare in American Nightmare is the whole game. Let's be honest here. It is awful. It is, and it's not awful to the extent of some games I've seen, but compared to Alan Wake, which is following in its footsteps, it's just, I can't even describe how bad it is. There's no story in it, and I say that the story in it is absolutely awful. You get introduced to this character. None of the main bad guy is not really unlikable or likable or anything. He's just a character they've thrown in there and gone, oh yeah, that makes sense. Then all the other characters you meet along the game, you meet 3, right? All 3 are dead. I say dead, but they're actually alive, but they have no personality. I just didn't enjoy any of them. I didn't feel remorse when any of them died, or not remorse, and you know what I mean. I didn't have any connection to any of the characters, which is totally opposite to the first game. The first game draw you into every single character. It was beautifully written. Every character had a purpose. Every character felt different and felt alive. It felt like they had hundreds of years, 50 years of life before them, or 20 years of life before them, before it got to this, where this felt like they just kind of shoved the characters in, and that's when they were born, and they're just born to say this, and it's like, that's not good writing, that's not good anything. That is just awful. You know, you're going from a game that was meant to be a story you played through to then them just going, people like shooting shit, and then putting in Alan Wake into this game where you're shooting shit. Okay, I will admit, not all bad. If you enjoy shooting stuff mindlessly for, I think the game lasted for about 3 hours, yeah, it's good. You know, I did enjoy playing that once I kind of got away from the fact that it was Alan Wake, and I just thought, oh, it's just a game. It was enjoyable as a small game where you go around shooting stuff, and it, you know, had a different mechanic where you had to burn off the light and all that sort of stuff. Okay, fair enough, I'll give it that. But the fact that it's calling itself Alan Wake, when it's clearly not anywhere near the standard of the first game. You know, if the first game's a 9, this game's like a 5. Do you know what I mean? Oh god, and it's like they didn't even update anything. I'm not sure how long it was after, you know, this game came out after the first one, but it's like they hadn't changed anything. They hadn't changed the graphics. The graphics, I think, almost are worse in the second game. You know, I can't say that for sure, but, you know, I put both on max settings, and I'm pretty sure I enjoyed the first game a lot more. Even the graphics, I think the graphics were a lot better in the first game on max graphics, and I think they just lacked something. It's like they just thought, oh look, this game made money, let's make something else called Alan Wake. It's like, no, that's not how you do it. If you're going to make Alan Wake, you've got to make Alan Wake, you know. You can't go from something so amazing and staggering like Alan Wake to, you know, the second Alan Wake game. It just seems silly to me. But yeah, you know, both Alan Wakes have your collectibles. In the first one, I think you have thermoses and manuscripts, and in the second one they just get rid of the thermoses and just stick to manuscripts. But in the first one, the manuscripts actually, you know, tell more about the story that you're going through and stuff like that. In the second one, it kind of does that, but then the story's bad anyway, so it just makes them like pointless. You know, I collected them and never read any of them. In the first game, I pretty much read every single manuscript I got because I was interested in learning more about it. And you have these little radio things that go on in both games, and in the second game they're not too bad. In the first game I really loved them, I listened to every single one, and then in the first game you have these TVs that you can watch throughout the game, and the same in the second one. First one, absolutely brilliant, I loved them, would watch every single one, didn't care how long it went on, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, I'd sit there and watch that crap, I'd watch it all day. Second one, they replaced it with nothing. It was just like they replaced it with like story stuff, which it wasn't at all in the first one. The first one, it was like a separate little thing. In the second one, it tells you more about the main story. It's like, this is not what I love these for. I absolutely loved it. I've even found them in YouTube and watched them since playing the game, just because I like them so much. It just seems silly to me that they've gone counter to what they were doing in the first one. The first game is about 11 hours long, you know, if you're playing for it normally, and the second game is about 3 hours long. I would not recommend spending an hour on the second game. Please, please, don't buy the second game. If you want to play Alan Wake and you enjoy those story-driven games, buy the first one. You will not be disappointed. You'll absolutely love it. I haven't said too much about the game story in general because it's so good. I don't want to ruin it for anyone. It is absolutely brilliant. I definitely recommend it to any of my friends. When it was first coming out, I was hyping about it, and as soon as it came out, it did not disappoint. There are so many things that have disappointed me that I've hyped about at the time, and Alan Wake is one of the few that didn't. I'd recommend it. I'd give it a 9 out of 10. You know, this is one of the games where it's almost brushing 10 out of 10. I wouldn't give anything a 10 out of 10 unless it's absolutely perfect. But Alan Wake is brushing a 10 out of 10. In fact, I'd probably give it a 9.5. Change everything I've said. First Alan Wake, I'll give it a 9.5. It's that good. You need to play it. Just buy it. You won't be disappointed. Thank you for watching. This has been ForeverJamy.